Antietam was one of the biggest and bloodiest battles of the entire Civil War. But I need to make a correction real quick right here. In a previous video, the one about Virginia, I stated that Antietam was fought in Virginia. I meant to edit it out but failed to do so I just want to apologize for making a false statement accidentally in a video. Now let's delve into the history of Maryland during the Civil War, starting with the Battle of Antietam. This was a monumental battle that took place on September 17, 1862, in the quaint town of Sharpsburg, Maryland. It was a day that would go down in history as the single bloodiest day in American military history. Leading the Union Army was General George B. McClellan. He commanded a force of roughly 87,000 soldiers, well-trained and ready for battle. On the opposing side, the Confederate Army was led by the formidable General Robert E. Lee, with a force of approximately 45,000 troops. The battle was fierce, with both sides employing strategic maneuvers to gain the upper hand. The Union Army, with its superior numbers, used a series of coordinated attacks along the Confederate line. The Confederates, on the other hand, relied on their knowledge of the terrain and the tenacity of their soldiers to hold their ground. However, the Battle of Antietam was not just about the military tactics and the number of troops. It was a reflection of the larger conflict that was tearing the nation apart. It was a battle that would have a profound impact on the course of the Civil War. When the dust settled, the battle had resulted in a staggering number of casualties. The Union suffered approximately 12,000 losses, while the Confederate casualties were estimated at around 10,000. The Battle of Antietam marked a significant turning point in the Civil War, with massive casualties on both sides. Despite the heavy losses, the Union Army emerged from the Battle of Antietam with a strategic advantage. It was this battle that gave President Abraham Lincoln the confidence to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, altering the course of the war and the nation's history forever. The Battle of Antietam marked a significant turning point in the Civil War, with massive casualties on both sides. While Antietam is perhaps the most infamous, Maryland was the site of several other significant battles during the Civil War. The Battle of Monocacy, also known as the battle that saved Washington, is one such example. Fought on July 9, 1864, this conflict pitted Confederate forces under the command of Lieutenant General Jubal Early against Union forces led by Major General Lew Wallace. Despite being outnumbered over 2-1, with around 6,000 troops against Early's 15,000, Wallace's forces fought fiercely. They held the Confederate forces at bay long enough for reinforcements to reach Washington, D.C., thereby preventing its capture. Further back in time, we find the Battle of South Mountain. This clash took place on September 14, 1862, just days before the notorious Battle of Antietam. The Confederate forces, commanded by General Robert E. Lee, were attempting to maintain control of 3 mountain passes: Crampton's, Turner's, and Fox's Gaps. Union forces, led by Major General George B. McClellan, fought to dislodge them. Despite being outnumbered, the Confederate forces held their ground, delaying Union forces long enough for Lee to gather his forces for the Battle of Antietam. The Union forces numbered approximately 28,000, while the Confederates had around 18,000. Maryland's strategic location made it a crucial battleground during the Civil War. Every victory or defeat, every life lost on this soil, played a part in shaping the outcome of this tumultuous period in American history. From the delaying tactics of General Wallace at Monocacy to the determined stand of Confederate forces at South Mountain, these battles were more than mere footnotes in the annals of the Civil War. They were decisive moments that determined the course of events, turning tides and shifting momentum. Each battle fought on Maryland soil played a crucial role in shaping the course of the Civil War. But the Civil War was more than just battles and troop movements. It also had a profound impact on politics and everyday life in Maryland. Maryland, a border state, was a political hotbed during the Civil War. It was a place where loyalties were divided, and political tensions ran high. The state's decision to remain in the Union, despite being a slaveholding state, was a controversial one. It was a decision born out of a complex mix of economic realities, political maneuvering, and a desire to prevent further division of the country. This decision, however, didn't sit well with everyone. Many Marylanders sympathized with the Confederacy, and there were instances of civil unrest and espionage, adding an extra layer of intrigue and tension to the political landscape. But let's shift our focus from the political sphere to the homes and streets of Maryland. What did everyday life look like for civilians during the war? Imagine, if you will, a world where the rumble of cannon fire might be a daily soundtrack, where the sight of marching soldiers was commonplace. The war infiltrated every aspect of life. Families were often divided in their loyalties, leading to strife within the household. The economy, too, was impacted. Many businesses struggled, particularly those reliant on the southern trade. Food shortages were frequent due to the drain of resources towards the war effort. And yet, life had to go on. People adapted. Women took on new roles, running businesses and farms while the men were away. Schools remained open, though some saw their student numbers dwindle as boys left to join the fight. Churches became places of solace and comfort, their pews filled with those praying for loved ones at the front. Despite the turmoil and conflict, Marylanders persevered, their lives forever changed by the war. They faced each new day with a resilience that was as inspiring as it was necessary. As we move forward in our exploration of Maryland's Civil War history, let's remember these everyday heroes, who lived through extraordinary times, shaping the state's history in their own quiet, indomitable way. Despite the turmoil and conflict, Marylanders persevered, their lives forever changed by the war. When the smoke cleared and the battles ended, Maryland, like the rest of the nation, had to find a way to heal and move forward. The process was not easy. The Civil War had left deep scars on the landscape and the people of Maryland. The Reconstruction era that followed was a time of intense political and social change. Formerly enslaved people were now free, but they faced a long and difficult struggle for equality and civil rights. Maryland's economy had to be rebuilt, and its society had to adjust to a new normal. The war had transformed Maryland in many ways, and its effects can still be seen today. The Battle of Antietam and other encounters fought on Maryland soil are a testament to the courage, resilience, and determination of its people during one of the darkest chapters in American history. To see what happened in your state during the Civil War, click the playlist that's on your screen. And as always, thanks for watching.